Hello, welcome to this video about the anomalies that I've heard in ABBA's song On and On and On. I did this work using the More ABBA Gold CD, both in phase and out of phase, and I then compared it in phase with the Polydor Super Trooper version, which was released in the 80s. As is usual, Tretov's More ABBA Gold version is much brighter than the Polydor version, and also reveals more anomalies. So I would suggest looking at that one. The stereo positions are identical, but to be honest, it's such a dense mix that you wouldn't really know except if you were looking at some of the backing vocals. Now, out of phase is actually quite interesting because the vocals that you can hear are, in the verses at any rate, they are sort of like a doubling of the lead vocal, but with an instrument on called a vocoder. Now, vocoder is just a special effect. If you think of Cher's Do You Believe in Life After Love, that's the sort of effect that, that they use, and you can hear a lot of that out of phase. In the chorus, you can hear the backing vocals, which are uncompressed over a very compressed instrumental and vocal backing. The compression in this song is actually, and here I'm not talking about sort of after the event compression, I'm talking about during the recording. They compress the hell out of it, to be honest, because otherwise the levels would have just been too high, because it's one of these songs that's got a heck of a lot going on in it and is meant to be loud. So, as I say, you can hear that compression quite clearly out of phase. Okay, so now let's do a little bit of discussing of the anomalies. Firstly, at 7 seconds, out of phase, you can hear a shout. In phase, you can also hear a shout at 7 seconds. In fact, it's much clearer in phase. Any edition that you care to listen to. This was first brought to my attention when I first started this series. I can't remember the name of the person that that emailed me about it, but I do talk about it in another video. But I think that as well as that shout, there's also another very faint one at 6 seconds, which I can hear on the original Super Trooper CD, not so much on the More ABBA Gold one. In phase, you need to listen out for that. A fainter shout at 6 seconds and then a louder one at 7 seconds. Now, at 46 seconds, there is an edit point. Now, it's covered up by these very heavy sort of arpeggio chords. Now, what I mean, if I hop up and play it to you, are these chords. Something like that. Anyway, that bass line was flubbed, but never mind. But those chords are covering up a lot of edits, and out of phase you can actually hear a lot of heavy bass on them as well, much bassier than you think they are just listening normally. But at 46 seconds is a very blatant edit covered up by those chords, and the whole track speeds up after that. Out of phase at 108, the sound thins out. This is the I Said Keep On Rocking Baby Till the Night Is Gone bit, because this is the link up to the chorus, and so we've got to have some sort of edit thing to get us there. In phase, it actually sounds like the sound dulls out a little bit, and I think that's possibly because we've got more bass in phase, because that's in the centre. You won't hear that out of phase so much. Now, in phase only, on the More ABBA Gold mix only so far, I haven't heard it on any other mix yet, there's a popping sound at 1 minute 13 seconds during the word gone. As I say, I can only hear it on the Tretov More ABBA Gold mix, but it's like someone goes in the middle of a drum beat. If you're listening out for the bass drum in particular, you'll hear it. Now, out of phase only, at 1:44, there's a whip sound as the edit to verse 2 comes in. That's a very sudden edit and it's heard much more clearly out of phase. Audible in phase and out of phase. There's an edit during the word shook. If you're listening in phase, you can hear the sound dulling out a little bit there. And at 1:56, I might as well do this one at the moment, you can hear a sound like a microphone pop or a kick afterwards in phase. Now this is rather unlike ABBA really, because normally their backing vocals were spot on, but here at 2:14 to 2:17:18, if you listen out on the right hand side, they seem to forget what they're supposed to be singing, and it becomes very indistinct. If you were comparing it to verse 1, you would expect that they were just singing the same words as the main vocal line. But they don't. It suddenly just becomes very woolly and you really can't understand the words at all at that point. If that makes any sense. Now there are two edits at 2 minutes 22 and 2:25, which you can only hear in out of phase, and they are leading you up to the chorus. At 2 minutes 49 seconds, not really an anomaly, but there's an awful lot more fret noise, I think, on a guitar on the left hand side than they possibly intended, but they left it in. At 2:56 seconds, in phase only, you can hear a very heavy kick drum in the centre, which is disguising an edit to the chorus where that just goes round and round in a loop. I think that they must have made quite a lot of use of, I suppose, the old analog equivalent to copying and pasting, where if you've got a chorus and you want to repeat it loads of times, well, let's just take this section and record it again and tack it on, sort of thing, to make a longer composite track. And they've covered a join there with a bass drum. And similarly, out of phase at 3 minutes 26 to 27 seconds, you can hear a very heavy drum beat again that's disguising an edit. Now, if you're listening in phase at that point, and also at 3 minutes 7 seconds and 3 minutes 21 to 22 seconds, it sounds like out of time bass drum hits. Not quite sure what it is really, but it sounds very out of time at that point in the drums. Now I heard this on the Super Trooper version, but it doesn't mean to say it's not on other versions. It sounds like a sharp intake of breath, which almost turns into a whistle at 3 minutes 24 seconds. And those are all the anomalies that I've heard in On and On and On. Sorry that I haven't been around for a little while, or at least haven't been making these videos for a little while. It's just I've been very busy at work. Hopefully normal service will be resumed as soon as possible. This is track 10 now of More ABBA Gold, so there are only 7 more songs for me to do. Plus I also promised Rudolph a long time ago that I would make anomalies for Rock Me, so I've got 8 more of these to go. Anyone who's got any ideas about any other videos that they'd like me to do, just please send me a request, because I'm quite happy to do them if I can.